This story is part of Fungi Week, a deep dive into the myriad ways mushrooms and fungi make the planet a healthier place for all its inhabitants. It is supported by UPIC Health.
When Mount Saint Helens in southwestern Washington erupted on the morning of May 18, 1980, the stratovolcano spewed a plume of debris high into the Earth's atmosphere and spread ash to at least 11 nearby states.
The blast produced lahars, landslides of mud and ash that barreled down the mountain, annihilating the landscape of evergreens and wildflowers in their wakes. Images of the aftermath show a new Martian landscape of grayscale rubble and broken-off tree trunks, an ecosystem that has seemingly been delivered a death blow. Geopixis carbonaria, also known as the charcoal-loving elf cup, is a phonocoid fungus. Its fruiting bodies are commonly found on soil, where brush has recently been burned. Credit Henry Koskine and Shutterstock. But despite the appearance of a mountainside extinction event, life was already regenerating. Just 10 days after the eruption, the geomorphologist Frederick Swanson surveyed one of the lahars with colleagues and noticed something intriguing. In the rubble, fine filament-like threads had attached themselves to some of the smaller pebbles and stones cast out of the volcano's center. I came to think that they were probably mycelia of burn site fungi, Swanson recalls in an interview with Oregon State University in 2015. If the spores are heated significantly, they will germinate and start sending mycelia through the soil. What Swanson was witnessing was the phenomenon of phonocoid fungi, aptly named in a nod to the mythical phoenix rising from the ashes. Fungal organisms such as these are often the first responders to blast zones and wildfire burn areas where the decomposing landscape serves as a smorgasbord for their biological needs. For millions of years, fungi and their fruiting bodies, mushrooms, have played a role in returning destroyed environments to their healthy baseline by breaking down pollutants with their enzymes and recycling nutrients, a process that, until recently, belonged to nature and nature alone. Now the emerging field of mycoremediation, a fungi-centered branch of bioremediation, seeks to harness the role of fungi as nature's ally in rehabilitating polluted environments. This includes land scorched by volcanic eruptions and forest fires, but also the likes of abandoned mines and hazardous landfills, and even regional highways where toxic road runoff enters our water systems. Fungi play the role of primary decomposers in many environments, explains Brendan O'Brien, the executive director of Co-Renewal, a non-profit that specializes in the use of fungi in ecosystem restoration. They are in the best position to degrade a lot of the persistent organic pollutants that we've been shipping off-site into our air, into our oceans, into our natural systems, into our soil. Tihi fungi used for environmental cleanup come in a variety of shapes and sizes. Mycorrhizal fungi work in symbiosis with a plant and its roots and can be used to re-establish native plant populations, which in turn leads to the presence of more pollinators, spurring even greater floral diversity. Saprotrophic fungi, on the other hand, are decomposing fungus that can be used to break down pollutants. Take oyster mushrooms, which many are more likely to associate with a restaurant menu than toxic waste. These saprotrophic decomposers can break down petroleum and hydrocarbons, putting them top of the list when it comes to cleaning up deadly oil spills. Swanson's phonocoid fungi also fall under the saprophytes umbrella. Understanding how these fungi work enables scientists and conservationists to explore how fungi might be deployed in times of urgent need, from cleaning up road runoff threatening important salmon spawning waters in the Pacific Northwest to oil spills in San Francisco Bay and oil pits in the Ecuadorian Amazon. Researchers are even investigating the role fungi can play as bioremediation agents in tackling nuclear waste. Weighed down by negative news, our Smart Bright weekly newsletter is the uplift you've been looking for. If there's an environment in need of remediation, chances are there's a fungus for it, and yet the full catalogue is only just beginning to be understood. It's estimated that experts have identified less than 10% of an estimated 2 to 3 million different types of fungi that currently exist on Earth, and the organisms face little to no geographical limitations. Fungi are ubiquitous across the planet, says O'Brien. They are present in every single ecosystem in the world. Because of ongoing drought conditions, the Pacific Northwest, where Mount Saint Helens erupted, and the West Coast more generally have become a living lab for mycologists and other scientists seeking to understand the opportunities and limitations of mycoremediation. But unlike the lahars that re-engineered the wild landscape after the volcanic blast, the fires that Washington, Oregon, and California face today often involve the towns we live in, the cars we drive, and all the other infrastructure we encounter in our daily lives. In the aftermath of the South Open Chain wildfire in southwestern Oregon, for example, which burned more than 32,000 acres of land in September 2020, the landscape was unrecognizable. The area's rugged, grassy hills were transformed into tough grey turf, dense stands of evergreens became singed matchsticks, and the roadsides were littered with scorched cars and other piles of heat-twisted debris. When human-made structures burn, All the materials used to build them, plus all the things inside them, batteries and electronics, cleaning supplies, plastics from Tupperwares, toys, and other trinkets, go up in toxic flames, releasing dangerous ash that then settles to the ground where vegetation loss has occurred. Without plants and trees, soil erosion is much more prevalent, making flooding more likely when rains eventually come, and all but guarantees the dispersal of the contaminated sludge far and wide, most likely into our watersheds and elsewhere. The South Slope Chain fire was one of several that devastated the West Coast in 2020 and again in 2021. Despite the havoc they wrought, these fires were the perfect opportunity for